Hi everyone, welcome back. Well, we're back down at Whiteman Park today working on the Titan tractor. Last week we got the rear footplate supports all made up. This week we are working on the ratchet for the brakes. So this does have brakes, but they're not really very good ones. This is our brake pedal here. And it should have a ratchet mechanism on here, but we'll get back to that in a minute. If we come up here, over here is the brake drum, and it is an externally contracting band that goes around the outside of that and is lined with wood. So I don't know, you'd get a reasonable amount of braking from it, because you've got a fair mechanical advantage coming through the gearing on this side here, but there's not a lot of surface area here for a machine that weighs 8 tonnes. The band comes down onto this pivot here, across to here, and down to our foot brake lever here. We'll make up all of those linkages later on when we've got a bit more work done. But today we're just going to make up the ratchet for it. In this photo we can see the brake ratchet that we need to make up, and also the small foot pedal on the right hand side of the main brake pedal that is to release the ratchet and take the brakes off. So we'll be making both of these pieces up today. So we can have a reasonable guess that the ratchet is probably 2" by 1/2 inch steel. That's going to fit quite nicely on there. The foot pedal that goes in here to release the ratchet is a little bit harder to guess the dimensions on. We do have this cast step on it here, so we can have a reasonable guess that needs to sit down below the teeth, so that's going to be 1" by probably not quite 1/2 inch that we're going to make that out of. We'll find a piece of steel for that. The first thing we're going to do is work out where we want to put our twist in here, and give this piece of metal its twist so that it sits in place properly. The foot pedal, the other little release mechanism, pivots on this bolt here, and also has a 90-degree twist in it. It's just made out of flat bar. So we'll get this piece sorted first, and then we'll come back to do the other bit. Now, it's a bit hard to guess lengths, but this is approximately the floor. So if we make it so that our ratchet is sitting on the last tooth, when it's right down at the floor, we're going to be reasonably close to right probably, and I'm guessing it sort of comes up to there somewhere when the brakes are off. We're going to need to make up the band and everything before we can make up the linkage or work out even how long the linkages are. So we'll just start with this piece for the moment. This was supposed to be a video showing me heating up the piece of metal and bending it in the vise to give the 90-degree twist. But somehow I pressed the wrong button on the camera and we got this still photo instead. Okay, so test fit of our ratchet. That's not looking too bad at all. The next thing we need to do is take a bit of a chamfer off this edge so that it sits down into the ratchet a bit better. And the photos look like it's got about a 45-degree angle on the end there. We're just going to do that quickly with the angle grinder. Okay, so that ratchet seems to engage fairly well like that. I didn't take it completely to a point. I've left a bit of meat on the ends there, just because we need to strengthen here as well. But I think that will engage fine. Next we're going to work out where our hole needs to be to hold it onto the bracket here, and we'll drill that. This does need a stepped bolt in here, so that we can do the bolt up without actually locking this on. So I'm going to have to find a bolt and find a bolt that's too big and machine it down to the right size. Okay, so we've got our ratchet mechanism in place. Next we need to make up the little foot pedal to lift it so that we can take the brake off with just one foot. So we're using this piece of metal here. We are going to put a hole in here for the bolt to go through, and we're going to start our 90-degree twist up here. We'll do the twist first because that way we can move our hole later if we need to. So we're going to just heat this up again, and we'll put the twist in, and it also needs to have a bit of a bend up that way to clear this. Well, we've got this reasonably close now. It fits pretty well and does what it needs to do. I may need to put a little bit more of a bend in here. We'll drill the hole and work out exactly where we're up to with that. Okay, so here we are with our finished ratchet and lever. I'm pretty pleased with the way it turned out. I've still got to make the correct step bolt to go in here so that we can do it up tight and still allow this to float. But this bolt here is still a little bit loose. But generally it works exactly the way it's supposed to. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little video. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye!